This group of men raised their hands high above their heads, besides the strange expressions on their faces. There was a scorpion-like object in their throats, and around them, a group of mysterious creatures appeared. At this moment, the sky above their heads changed. Dark clouds rushed in with lightning and thunder. The female protagonist, Mary, saw all of this. She started to run away. Mary noticed that the mysterious creatures had already enveloped the entire town. With nowhere to go, she could only return home, and the monster she had mistakenly killed earlier was still lying on the floor. Just as Mary was contemplating how to handle the creature's body, a large swath of dark clouds suddenly covered the sky behind her. There seemed to be something terrifying inside, and it had fixed its gaze on Mary. Mary understood that she had killed their kind, and those eerie creatures wouldn't spare her. So, Mary prepared herself to confront those monsters. She first boiled 4 pots of hot water, then she grabbed an art knife. Afterward, she sealed the window shut. She planned to fight the monster to the end inside the house. Unexpectedly, just as Mary got ready, she heard strange sounds from outside the house. At the same time, the nails used to secure the bedsheets in the room started to fall off on their own. Seeing this, Mary suddenly realized they were here. Sure enough, the next moment, a strong beam of light illuminated the room. It was then that Mary saw the creature she had killed floating up, slowly flying out of the window. Such an ability, beyond human comprehension, could probably only be achieved with extraterrestrial technology. As the intense light disappeared, Mary breathed a sigh of relief. She only hoped that they would leave quickly. Suddenly, another beam of light shone in. It seemed like they were searching for the killer of their companion. Mary rushed into the basement to hide. A strong beam of light suddenly shone in, and Mary quickly hid behind the wall. She waited until the beam of light disappeared, and one of the monsters came to the basement. Mary maneuvered around a pillar to avoid the monster's line of sight. On her way, Mary found a pair of scissors. She fought with the monster, but the monster suddenly made a strange noise. Then, it used telekinesis to take away the scissors from Mary's hand in her family's photo. The monster seemed interested in Mary's family photo and was examining it. Mary took this opportunity. She fled out of the window. She thought the monster had let her go. She believed the monster had spared her. However, as Mary got up to leave, suddenly, she heard a strange noise behind her. Before Mary could react, suddenly, a long-armed monster appeared again. Clearly, the monster had taken control of the surroundings. The monster began to toy with Mary. At this point, Mary was like an ant. Mary instinctively tried to escape. However, she accidentally bumped into the controlled man. The man wasted no time. He grabbed Mary and dragged her to the monster. At that moment, a large black disc suddenly flew in the sky. Then, the monster made strange gestures toward the disc, and someone inside the disc responded. Mary saw this scene and realized she was in danger. She quickly broke free from her restraints. She was prepared to escape once more, but at this point, the man reacted and grabbed Mary. Mary kicked him hard. The man was then lifted into the air. It seemed like he was about to be consumed by the disc. Suddenly, the beam of light disappeared. The man fell directly from the sky. The disc sensed that the man was not what it wanted. It quickly vanished into the air, and at this moment, something from the man's throat let out a piercing scream. This angered the longhorn monster. It no longer gave Mary a chance. It charged straight at her. Mary fled all the way to her car, but the monster quickly caught up. Fortunately, at a critical moment, it got stuck in the car. Mary looked at the exposed gasoline. She ignited it directly. Then, Mary moved away from the car. The next second, the car exploded violently. The longhorn monster was dealt with. Mary was about to take a break. Then, the beam of strong light shone down again. It landed on the car, and the car's flames disappeared entirely. Then, a beam of light pursued Mary. She quickly fled back into the house. It was unclear how much time had passed. The earlier extraterrestrial monster entered the attic. The attic was filled with Mary's memories and longing for her sister. The monster was curious about these things as it stared at the photos in a daze. Mary, hidden behind, suddenly prepared to attack with a weapon, but the next second, a beam of red light suddenly immobilized her on the ceiling. Mary's body couldn't move anymore, and the monster came closer from below. It gazed at Mary, floating up slowly. Then, the monster spat out a strange little creature from its mouth. The little creature moved toward Mary's mouth. Perhaps this was the parasite it used to control humans. Once the little creature entered Mary's mouth, Mary suddenly woke up from the nightmare. She looked at everything around her. Mary suddenly realized that everything she had experienced was just a dream. As Mary thought about it, she laughed again, because the dream had been too frightening. However, something strange happened next. she saw her long-deceased sister walk into the room. As she looked at her sister, Mary felt both excited and scared. Even though she was filled with guilt for her sister, she knew that everything now was fake. Mary apologized to her sister. Then she reached into her mouth with one hand and pulled out the disgusting little thing. In an instant, the scene before her changed. It seemed it was never a nightmare. Mary was freed from control, and she made her way back to town. Unexpectedly, she encountered the longhorn monster again on the way. Just when Mary was frightened, she was trapped by a powerful beam of light. As the scene shifted, immobile Mary saw that she was surrounded by extraterrestrial creatures. They seemed to want to test Mary. Several monsters extended their fingers to Mary's head. The next second, Mary's memories were unlocked. She seemed to have returned to her childhood. She saw her mother, and then, the next second, Mary found herself in the wilderness. She saw the scene of herself accidentally killing her sister. As the scene shifted again, Mary found herself in a special space. Her longed-for sister was sitting across from her. This time, Mary didn't run away. She reached out her hand to apologize to her sister. Mary and her sister resolved their issues, and all of this was captured by the extraterrestrial creatures. They were seen communicating with each other, then passing the information to their leader. The next second, something strange happened before Mary's eyes. Mary felt herself rapidly descending towards the ground. She fell to the ground and looked up at the sky. Although Mary didn't know what had happened, her emotional burden had been completely lifted. As the scene shifted once more, Mary had a new life. This time, she was no longer lost and afraid. She began to live life positively and optimistically. She warmly greeted her neighbors, and she received the same warmth in return. The entire town, where Mary lived, had transformed into a harmonious utopian community. As Mary danced joyfully, the story came to an end. Now, let me briefly summarize the plot and provide some personal insights, because there are certainly many people who didn't understand it. Could it be that the arrival of the extraterrestrials was solely to help the female protagonist overcome her emotional burden? I personally don't think so. I have two possible interpretations for this. The first one is that it was all just Mary's imagination. Ever since she accidentally killed her sister when she was a child, not only did her mother cut ties with her, but the people in the small town also began to ignore her. Over time, living in isolation, Mary developed emotional issues that affected her mental state. She carried the guilt of her sister's death and the judgmental gazes of her neighbors, and she longed for forgiveness. That's why she imagined all of this. She then envisioned herself as a hero who bravely fought extraterrestrial creatures and ultimately saved herself. She successfully reconciled with her sister and received forgiveness from everyone. This explanation is the most reasonable, because it's hard to believe that beings with telekinetic powers and advanced technology like the extraterrestrials could be easily defeated by Mary. The second interpretation is more unsettling, because, analyzing the plot, it seems the extraterrestrials might be interested in consuming human memories and emotions. Many people were controlled and consumed by them. If others didn't survive, why did Mary escape in the end? Are the extraterrestrials genuinely benevolent? I believe not. They may have already consumed everything Mary had. Remember how the small creatures would create illusions after parasitizing humans? So, this time, they created a more perfect utopian community for Mary, making her falsely believe she had resolved her issues, received forgiveness. In any case, whether it's one of these endings, it might be the best outcome for Mary.